Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of Trade Secrets by Triple Tote. We have this show as a way of showcasing people who are bringing ideas to life and making things happen so we can get that information or their trade secrets on how they make those things happen. Today I have a very special guest with me. His name is Joshua Beaulieu, and he has invented a great product. Before inventing the product, he has an extensive career helping people for a living. So we want to get into the details of his journey and understand what it took to bring his idea to life. Thank you for coming on, Josh.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Now, I know you because I met you while pursuing my own invention, and like-minded people end up in the same places. But before you actually invented your product, what we'll get to, what did you do for a living before then?
Yeah, so I've been in the fire service for about 20 years now. I started off as an EMT for commercial ambulance service before getting hired as a paramedic for the town of Manchester Fire Department. Again, just over 20 years there. And my career has been incredible. I can't imagine doing anything different. Paramedic school led me to the fire service, which has opened a lot of doors for me. I started as a firefighter paramedic. I did that job for about 8 years before getting promoted to lieutenant and working as a company officer for about three years. And then I was promoted to battalion chief, where I am now. I've been in my current role for about 10 years. I oversee emergency medical services for our department and for our town. And that means I'm responsible for our paramedic program, our first responder program. And in that role, I end up doing a lot of teaching, a little bit of speaking. I just can't imagine doing anything different. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Now, I know it seems and sounds obvious, but what's the most gratifying part of your job?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, most of my time today is spent behind a desk, unfortunately. Probably about 60% of my day is administrative. Is not the most gratifying part of my job. Throughout my career, I still to this day and always have gravitate towards being out in the field and helping people. I maintain my ability to work as a paramedic in my current role, and my favorite thing to do still is to get out with my crews and actually take care of people, which unfortunately I don't get to do as much as I'd like to, but that is by far the most gratifying part of my job.
Now, the benefit I had of meeting you led to me being at the start when you created the Chase Collaborative. And what I learned from being around you guys that are in the emergency services business and actually emergency services occupation is that there's a lot of acronyms.
There is a lot of acronyms.
But what I noticed is that it takes a certain type of person to dedicate a lot of time to doing these things that help people, and you're on the bad end of a lot of situations. Sometimes, like, your people have been hurt, injured, car accidents, fires. You're actually in those places when those things happen, and so just being able to connect with you and the Chase group, it really allowed me to get an insight of the personalities and the personality, frankly, it takes to be able to do that, yet still be happy, still be full of joy and conversation. You know our guys, they're jokesters. And was there a time when you started in emergency services where it didn't feel that light, and did it take an adjustment to get there?
Oh, absolutely. It's interesting. You bring up some pretty interesting points. So I remember being a brand new EMT, right out of class, very little, if any, experience, going to my first real sick person, somebody who ultimately passed away, and recognizing that no matter what we were going to do, we weren't going to change that. But working with senior paramedics, senior EMTs, we had a team trying to help this person the best we could. And that was that sticks with me because it was my first experience with a patient who died in a very, very stressful situation where this team came together. And I fast forward to today and look at how we handle that same scene with experience and time under my belt, and my approach to it's very different. I don't think that you ever lose sight of the gravity of the situations that we're in.
That's right.
But certainly, to your point, you deal with it much differently with experience, and you have to. You hit the nail on the head. We are a very bonded and jovial group collectively in emergency services. Part of that is just being able to get through the bad and look forward to the good, right? So if we're serious about everything, and everything that we do is very, very serious, but if we take it that seriously all the time, you wouldn't survive in this career field very long. So there has to be a level of levity amongst the bad that we see all the time. And I think that's part of the bond that people in public safety have, police, fire, EMS. We all recognize that our reaction to bad things isn't typical for people who aren't always exposed to bad things.
That's right.
So yes, to your point, absolutely.
I remember growing up in a house, we had a police scanner, which, initially once you hear these calls coming across the radio, very interesting. And then when you hear a call come across the radio local to you, and then you see coverage of the incident on the news, and you were there, it really builds the whole story in your mind. But that's more of a form of entertainment from my perspective, just listening to it over the radio and connecting it with news on TV. And then again, to meet you guys and see what goes on the other side of that radio, it just puts it really vivid in my head. Like, okay, I know I heard a call about a domestic dispute. I know I heard a call about a person having a car accident, come over to CB. But talking to you and the other guys at Chase, I really got to see, like, holy, this is like what these guys are showing up to the scene and dealing with. And the great thing I think that I learned from being around you guys, and especially you as an inventor, is that you guys are genuinely trying to help with the products you have. And I know that you yourself invented a product to be more helpful, to make you and your guys and anybody in emergency services more useful when they go out to the field. Can you tell us what your invention is and basically what it does?
Yeah, absolutely. So our first invention was the Rapid Patient Mover. And we started developing that product in 2013. And the reason we were even looking at a new patient moving device came from, again, a bad incident that we had in my community. Locally, I was looking to redefine and reorganize how we were responding to active shooter incidents, mass casualty incidents, and going through some of the training that was available at the time. What was found very quickly was that there's a gap in the market for how we evacuate patients in that environment. The products that were available at the time didn't meet the need entirely, and I wasn't happy with what I could find. So coincidentally, at about the same time, my brother, who's our co-founder, one of our co-founders, he was between jobs, and his background is in business development and was looking to start a business. Well, we kind of took some of that enthusiasm for doing something different, if you will, and ultimately combined it with a concept that I had for a new product, and decided to kind of push forward with the development of something that could be very, very helpful, we hoped. So again, back in 2013, when we started doing this, our intent was to meet a need that we didn't believe was being met currently. And the process was to start doing some drawings, look at what was available and what we would like to see differently from what was available, and start buying some material. We were at the fabric store, we were at the craft shop, buying little bits and pieces of things that we could model with to kind of start to prove our concept. So once we kind of decided on what the attributes of the product needed to be, we started fleshing those out in small form first. And then once we had an idea of the attributes that we wanted to incorporate in our product, we started making prototypes.
Now, I know you're saying that you did drawings and things of that nature, and some people are going to catch wind of this podcast, not on YouTube, but they're going to be listening to it on, some kind of streaming station. Can you describe to us what the rapid patient mover is? Like, try to give us a visual of how it looks and how it works for those people who, I'll plug in some pictures of it.
Oh, absolutely.
If they listen to this on a podcast,
what am I talking about, right?
Yeah. I know you said drawing, so I want them to get an idea of what you had to draw out.
Absolutely. So the best way to describe it, I think, is to compare it to what's available currently, or at the time. So we were looking at hard patient-moving devices like a backboard or a Stokes basket, something that's made of plastic with some handles that's designed to strap somebody more or less in an immobile condition to
like
the device.
Stretcher. Most people probably know it as a stretcher, they call it.
Almost. So typically when you think stretcher, you're thinking with a pad, wheels, that sort of thing. I'm talking about something even smaller. Simply a board or a basket that you would carry somebody out of the woods in, maybe, you know. And then the other end of the spectrum was soft devices, like picture a tarp with some handles on it that you would put somebody on and carry them away with a bunch of people to help out. A third category of patient handling devices that we were looking at is the roll-up sled. So think of a plastic roll-up toboggan, and put some handles on that, and a mechanism for strapping somebody onto it, and that's another category. So all three of these categories have some really nice benefits to them, but none of them met the need exactly. So what we came up with was a hybrid of all of these. Our product has some components that give it some rigidity. It has some components that give it some extreme flexibility. It packs up nice and small, like a tarp with handles. We can carry it into places very easily. But much like one of the hard devices, we can secure somebody into it and drag them as well, which is unusual for a soft device. Additionally, we took pieces of plastic and embedded them between layers of ballistic fabric nylon in such a way that allows the device to be folded in a way that it can be deployed under somebody without having to lift or roll them first. So that is actually one of the unique patented attributes of our product, is that we incorporate the plastic with the nylon and fold it in a way that we can tuck it under the head or the feet of the patient, pull in opposite directions, and hardly manipulate the patient, which means much less effort on the rescuer's part.
Okay, so two things. The first thing I want to point out is that developing Triple Tote, my product, and trying to make it accessible to people who have mobility issues or need it for medical support with what they're carrying. When talking to large EMS companies, one thing I begin to hear is that they're trying to get rid of the normal hard carrying devices, like the boards. Backboards, because they're saying that they're so rigid that when the body shifts on them and they're not shifting with the body, it can actually cause a little bit more harm to the patient. And so when I met you, even after that conversation, I'm sure it was like, I'm sure it was no coincidence I met you shortly thereafter, like having those conversations, and you had the rapid patient mover, and I was like, oh yeah, this is what the company was talking about when they say that people are trying to move away from stiff devices to carrying patients and something more flexible. Right. So that's great. Now, when you say you guys have a patented way of making sure you don't have to move the patient to put them on your device and actually carry them to safety, let's talk about your patent. Let's talk about the drawings and how they became part of the patent. When you first began to pursue your patent, how did you get going? Like, how did you know where to go or who to go to?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we were brand new to this. We honestly didn't really know what we were doing, to be Frank.
Yeah.
We started with an idea, and when I say in early drawings, I mean some paper with some scribbles, and I think this looks good, I think this might work out, let's try that out first, But once we got the prototypes finished, and we probably made, 20 some odd changes to the initial design from initial concept to what we wanted to move forward with, and created several different solid prototypes that worked. Then we thought our next step should be, well, let's do some market testing and get this in front of people and see what they think. And fortunately for us, we were pointed towards a business mentor, Eric Knight, who you may know. Yep, sure. Who I met with and explained to him what we were looking to do. Because at this point we said, well, yeah, maybe we should be getting a patent on this. And we had already scheduled a kind of an info session with some industry folks about our product to put it in front of them. And his advice immediately was, stop, don't do that. You need to file a provisional patent first, and here's why. And he explained the whole thing to us. And he's as you know, he's a brilliant guy in business and in inventing. I can't say enough nice things about him. He's given us some incredible advice, and really pointed us in the right direction to protect our invention, which we didn't understand at the time, before we went and exposed it and potentially put ourselves at risk at not being able to patent it after the fact. So that was extremely helpful. Oh, good.
Yeah. And I want to give a shout out to Eric Knight. I've also been working with him since my very first invention, which was a redesigned baby carrier.
Yeah.
So I've been working with him for over a decade. He's
no
a great
kidding.
Mentor, super generous with information and his time and connections. Yeah. And he gives you just everything he has without looking for anything in return. He's really a genuine guy out here.
Incredibly.
Doing a lot of good things for businesses.
So can I, on a side note with that, so we've been successful in securing 2 CT Next grants.
Oh, perfect.
Through the competitive grant process, the pitch program that they run.
EIA Awards.
Yeah, IEA Awards, that's right. And in both cases, Eric has been instrumental in coaching and guiding us through those processes. So we owe him some gratitude for that as well. Yeah,
we're going to link Eric up in the descriptions of these places, and if we do articles, we'll link him up in the article too. We'll also link CT Next.
Perfect.
I send out their link often because people don't always know that, hey, look, here's a $10,000 grant that you can get just for having a good idea, a good plan, and great intent, and they can help you get to your next step. If you just have drawings, they can probably help you get to a prototype.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people feel like, oh, there's no help out there, or there's no, I don't have money. And there are a lot of programs that I give Connecticut credit for. They've been pushing out there to just spark that entrepreneurship culture here.
Right.
And they've been doing a good job in some cases. It's not perfect, but they definitely have been more outwardly pushing to get entrepreneurs and inventors up and running so that they can actually add more jobs to Connecticut. So shout out to CT Next, shout out to Eric Knight. Now, when you filed your patent, did you guys work all the way through a patent attorney? Did you do some of it yourself and have a patent attorney look over? Like, how did you balance that?
So we've filed 4 patents so far, and we've been issued 3. And of those, 1 is a utility patent, 2 are design patents.
Yeah.
So the very first provisional patent that we filed, Eric set us up through the CT Next program with a patent attorney.
Awesome.
Damian Wasserbauer, great guy, another resource that I'd be happy to endorse. He's been wonderful. We've worked with him quite a bit now, as I said, through multiple patent filings. The first provisional patent that we filed, we came up with some of the background language, but gave it to him and his staff, and they put together the patent filing for us.
Oh, that's perfect. That's great. Now, you got a utility patent, which I also have a utility patent for the triple tote, and you have a design patent.
Yes.
So you're in the perfect position to explain to our listeners and our viewers. Tell us the difference between a design patent and a utility patent.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
sorry, motion detectors, lights.
So the difference between a utility patent and a design patent really comes down to what it is that you're protecting. A design patent is specific to the ornamental design, the pieces, parts, if you will, and exactly what it looks like of your device. The utility patent is related to what the device does. So in our case, the design patent is pretty obvious. We have nylon, ballistic nylon with some plastic plates configured in a certain manner with rows of handles, attachment points for a drag harness, and those are all elements of the design patent. The utility patent, however, for us relates to the specific configuration of how the plates are oriented in the fabric, and because of that orientation, work to achieve this Z-fold that allows the device to be deployed in a certain way and to function in a way that's not currently available with the hard or the soft devices.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And it's important for our viewers and our listeners to know that when you're protecting your idea with a patent, usually it's considered the most important patent is a utility patent.
Right.
It means that no one can come behind you and create a product that does what yours does, assuming that what yours does is unique already.
Right.
A design patent sometimes can be manipulated because if somebody just changes the design of their product to be a little different from yours, that they can get a patent to, or they can get around your patent and not have to adhere to your patent. So utility patent is what most people are looking for. It's what investors are looking for. It's what people who do licensing deals are looking for, that type of utility patent for the most part. Now, there are some guys out there good enough to put a design patent together that can also protect the utility, and they can layer those things like you've done. And like what Josh has done is he's layered a base with a utility patent, then layered it with designs that help protect it even more. But I just want to clarify that because our listeners, that's a really big important thing, is that if you have a spoke wheel that has 5 spokes and you patent a spoke wheel that has 6 spokes, and then I'll just patent a wheel that has 7 spokes, it doesn't protect the wheel at all.
Right.
But if you patent the wheel, now we're talking. Right. Now you have something of value that you can bring to market. So those are just the small differences that work out. And it's good to hear that you got your patents, 3 out of 4 so far, right?
That's right. Yep. Perfect. So we've the 3 that we pursued, we've been issued. We abandoned the 4th one after applying for the provisional patent and looking into it a little bit further. We made the decision that it wasn't worth pursuing further. But the process and the experience of doing that we found to be very valuable in pursuing the product that we were looking to put together.
Yeah, even for my utility patent for my first product, which was a baby carrier with a unique design, there was another wearable device for a motorcycle that was designed the same way my baby carrier was. And because that design was so similar to the baby carrier, I wasn't able to get a patent on the baby carrier. Right. Because even though one was used in a different way for a motorcycle, mine was used for a child, the design of it and the setup of the different parts was the same, so I could not get a utility patent just as a comparison to protecting yourself. I wasn't able to get a patent because somebody else had did that work first. Right. Since creating the product, you've connected with other entrepreneurs, especially those who have emergency or medical products. Yep. And you started, as a result of that, the Chase Collaborative. Correct. Could you explain what the Chase Collaborative is, and could you explain what the benefit is if somebody else is listening and they want to be a part of the group? Yeah, absolutely. So this is an idea that I came up with a few years ago, actually, and we were finally able to put it into action just about 6 months or 7 months ago now. But again, going through this process of creating products, finding a market for those products, looking into distribution, looking into manufacturing, patenting, all these things that go into creating something new and making it valuable to other people by being able to get it to them. That's right. I found that it naturally put me in front of other people that were looking to do the same thing. And not only that there's a significant number of people, specifically in the health and safety field, right, emergency services, healthcare, that were doing this. And to boot, I knew a lot of them already. So I had this thought, like, we're all struggling with the same things. You know, I might have marketing
really squared away, but I might have some issues with distribution or manufacturing. Somebody else may be just the opposite. They've got a really strong distribution network, but they have no idea how to get their name out and how to get their product out. So I thought that if we started pooling these other startup, smaller companies that were in a similar place in their development as we were, that we could start sharing ideas. As you pointed out before, our whole field in emergency services and healthcare, we are all very similar. Not all, that's probably too much of a generalization, but several of us have a very similar personality in that we are all helping.
That's right.
We are willing to put ourselves out, we're outgoing, and we want to see other people succeed around us, right? My success and your success can often be tied together if we're working together.
Right.
And that's beautiful, that's great, that's something. So my concept behind this was, let me reach out to people that I know that are doing something similar in a similar space and see how we can help each other. I thought worst case scenario, we have dinner, have coffee, we share some stories. Best case scenario, we can find some ways to really help one another. And ultimately, I think that's what happened. So far, although we're only about 7 or 8 months into this, my sense is that all of our group members feel like there's a benefit to this. And I skipped right over it, but the group name that we came up with is Connecticut Health and Safety Entrepreneurs Collaborative, Chase Collaborative. And I think that underlines who we are and what we're doing and the glue that's tying us together.
And full disclosure, I'm a member of the Chase Collaborative. Happy to get in on the ground floor.
Founding member, yep, another founding member.
I love it so much. And the people you meet there, they're really genuine.
Yeah.
They're really funny.
We do have a great group.
Yeah, we have a great group, and it's amazing. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
It's amazing that so many people are willing to donate whatever expertise they have to make the whole group better.
Right.
I know you guys just did a trade show.
Yeah, so we did. And so first Chase collaboration for a trade show. In debriefing with the other folks that were there, we all thought it went great. Collectively, our 7 companies that are represented have products that are all very complementary to one another.
That's right.
And we were able to engage people coming by our booth on one product to the next product to the next product. If you're here looking for hemorrhage control, well, you might need to also use a collar to support your patient, and a patient evacuation litter, and maybe you're going to put them in an ambulance that needs a biocell protector. And so we were able to tie all these things together. Our mannequin had all of our products on it, and we had the triple tote holding a mobility assistance sling, holding a tourniquet, and it was beautiful. We had all of our products, all of our companies represented in the booth, and the outcome was that our collaboration benefit all of us.
And I want to say that I wasn't able to make it to the trade show because I had a prior engagement. But the great thing about the collaborative is that you guys said, no problem. We'll take your product anyway. We'll display it for you. We'll put your print materials out there, and we'll get contacts for you, because you never know who may still be looking for a product like yours. And that's the beauty of the collaborative. Like, these guys are really genuine, here to help. I had a little edge with social media marketing, so I did a presentation to everybody about how they can use social media marketing. We got people who are experts at distribution. Actually, one of our guys is a distributor. He's telling us about how to get distribution for the product, how to package it. Like, everybody has a piece of expertise that they're offering.
Right.
And everybody's offering everything they have. Some guys have been in the business like you for 20 years, and they have connections that they built over those 20 years, and they're just opening those doors to say, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, what do you think about this guy? And people are so open. So we'll put links in the description and the bios of where this is posted, so that people can check it out and fill out a form, and we can contact them if they're interested in being a part of it, or if they're interested in learning more. But it's a real good thing. We just volunteer our time. It's not a real corporate structure. We're just kind of like the Elks Club in a way, right? Just getting together once a month or once every 6 weeks and just sharing notes and taking what we learn back for ourselves and trying to make our companies and products grow. So it's really great. It's really great. What's the latest thing you're working on? I know you're always thinking of some new invention. What's the newest thing you're working on?
Well, so the Rapid Patient Mover design really got us thinking about what else we could do. And from that particular product, we did expand to our mobility assistance sling, for instance, which is a patient lifting device. And certainly we've been focusing on those, but more recently we've gotten into some specialty cases, things that aren't available on the market, designed specifically to protect specialty medical equipment. A video laryngoscope, for instance, is what we just made a case for. Not something that we're going to patent, I don't think, but again, we're taking some of the design expertise that we've developed in some of these other products and our knowledge now of how to get something to market with our manufacturing distribution connections. And it's providing us the opportunity to make something new and unique that people can use that nobody else is making. Albeit may not raise to the level of needing to be patented, there's still quite a bit of value behind that. So with that product, we're always looking forward to what the next project can be. We haven't hemmed ourselves into one particular type of product. We're open to doing a design and prototype in different areas. Just what's worked best for us is sticking with what we know, and what we know best is public safety and emergency services in healthcare right now. So that's where our products have typically evolved from.
Yeah, one thing I think that that you definitely have as a strength, just from knowing you over this past 8 months to a year, is that when you have an idea of something, a product, or logistically how something should work, or from a display marketing standpoint, how something could work, you lay it out, like it must show up in your mind so vivid, right? Yeah, when we were doing the booth, you were like, this here, that here, that. It was like, I mean, not in a very bossy, you weren't bossy with the idea, but you laid it out and it was just like, oh, okay. Everybody just said okay because it was just like, that makes sense.
Well, part of that I'll credit with the fact that we've done some trade shows and we know it works for what has and hasn't worked for our booth setups. But the other part of it is, I think you're right. I think I am a very visual thinker, and when I get an idea in my head, I kind of see it and am able to kind of lay it out in the physical world the same way I see it in my head. So that's worked out okay for me so far.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. I want to thank you for the help and information you've given me since we've been working together, since you started Chase. And I definitely want you to let the people know, where can they find out more about the Rapid Patient Mover, and where can they find out more about Chase Collaborative? Yeah,
that's great. Thank you so much, Antoine, for your support and collaboration with Chase and me personally. This has been great. Our company is B2 Products, and our web address is www.b2products.com. We have some videos up there. You can search B2 Products on YouTube as well, and you'll see some of our videos. Chase Collaborative does not have its own website just yet, but if you go to B2 Products on Facebook, or you can search Chase Collaborative on Facebook, we've got a site there, and you'll learn a little bit more about the Chase Collaborative and the companies that we represent.
Well, I thank you for coming out and sharing your experience. It's those details of how you brought this product to market, important, how you patented the product to protect it, that I want my viewers and listeners to get that information from different perspectives so that they can have the courage or the knowledge which leads to the courage to really jump out there and execute their own idea. And I'll have you on here for another episode, I'm sure, as you keep inventing. And for the rest of you guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks a lot.